Hello, hello.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Check
Hello.
1, 2, 3.
Hey.
I gotcha.
You gotcha.
Gotcha.
You
Kim, are you
gotcha.
sort of a stalker where you can like watch everybody but nobody can see you? Kind of weird.
He's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm creepy that way.
Like you're always there in the background.
He's
Yeah,
right
always
there in the logo.
back there in the background.
He's behind that logo up there in the
That's
corner.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Look, he's got his binoculars on, looking out at the neighbors.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of
Did you get the email I sent you with all of Todd's quotes?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see all the stuff I've come up with over the years.
I know. You
Right?
definitely got a shtick.
I've been podcasting for well over 10 years. It's crazy.
I know. It's been fantastic.
Wow.
I didn't. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. We used to simulcast. We used to simulcast on Contact Talk Radio. That's right.
Well, you still are.
Holistic Living with Tina Marie and Todd Allen. You remember that one?
Yeah, but you still are broadcasting.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it clearly.
Well, when you said you used to, I'm like, well, you still are.
No, we were simulcasting, remember, on Voice of America. And
oh, yeah, you're doing the Voice of America thing. Yeah, I get a lot of calls from people at Voice America. They charge so much.
oh, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, last I saw, they had like 8 different channels. So, I don't know what kind of exposure.
Yeah, I don't know either, but
Yeah, they've come to me a couple of times, and I just can't afford them. So
no, and really, when it comes to the internet, you got to stay with what works, and this has been working.
So how long have you been doing this, Cameron?
20 years.
12? Wow.
20.
20 years.
Yep.
Jeez.
Back when it first started.
Yep. Todd's been with us pretty much from the very beginning.
Huh. Wow.
We've been very lucky.
Pam must be still combing her hair.
She's primping.
Primping.
She didn't know it was video. She's used to my old shows where it was just chatty. So she kind of showed up and then she needed to get ready. So we might
have to start without her.
Or just play another commercial. She should be here any minute.
Yeah, that's fine. But I need to get this Facebook Live going too.
Yeah.
I hope she's got the link. I sent her the link this morning.
She said she had it.
You guys want to just go live and then let her come in on her own?
Ready, set, play the feed.
Okay.
By tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and most of you already know, but I'll tell you anyway. That's because when I got up this morning, I made a huge decision, and that decision was it was going to be a groovy day. That's the way I start my day every day. Who knows what's coming my way, but all I have to do is remember it's going to be groovy, and that's what I do. I encourage you to do the same. Welcome to Life Master Radio. And as always, before we get started, I do like to get myself centered and situated. If we can just consciously think about that connection, the connection to that which gives us power. And I'm going to quote a really good friend of mine. It could be God, it could be Allah. But here's a new list that I'm going to start working with. It could be the dude. It could be the mothership. It could be the universe, the field of infinite possibility, the divine buzz, the radiant X, or of course, super God. It could be anything. It could be the doorknob that leads you into the next room. So consciously connect to that. And let's take in a deep breath. And let that breath out with a big ah. And just let your essence flow up through your speaker box out into the universe and consciously connect with that which gives you power. It could be the tree right outside your window. It could be anything.
It could be the lamppost.
It could be the lamppost. Say hello to that lamppost. Let's do that one more time. This time when you take that breath in, think about those dreams, visions, and goals. Bring those down real deep. And just let those flow right up through the speaker box, out into the universe, and allow the universe the possibility and the opportunity to make those come true for you, because that's how it works. There you go. As always, I have my co-host. Look at that big smile. A big smile on both of them. As always, I have my co-host with me, Jackie Bailey.
Hello.
From the infamous JackieBaileySpeaks.com. You can see her classroom in the background. What do you do back there, Jackie? I don't see anybody in that classroom.
That's because we're broadcasting live. This is my Speak Feed Lead studio, and I'll have some classes this afternoon for some kids, grades 4 and 5. Had a class yesterday and three classes tomorrow. We're having fun teaching these kids how to be better public speakers, communicators, leaders, how to find that unique message that is theirs and how to share it with power.
It's just fascinating because you teach young people a better way to communicate. Does that roll it all up? I mean, it's not on their smart devices, right? This is how they express themselves, their ideas, articulate their ideas, and put them out into the world.
Well, yes, I do. But the problem is they don't know what their ideas are, because it's so easy to find anything you need on the internet. They don't have to think about what it is that I believe or what is it that I think. They just search for the answers and then they have them. And a lot of these children, they don't realize that they have something valuable to say. And so I help them draw that out through their experiences, the things that they have learned, the things they can do. You know, I ask them, what is it that you know? And a lot of times they'll come up with a sport. You know, they know badminton or they do know fencing. Yeah, but that's where we start. You know, that's what they know. So let's talk about that. Teach something about that to
Very
the audience.
cool.
And we start with that. We also help them get more conversational so that they aren't always just answering with that, fine. You know,
let me Google that. Google's my friend.
That's right. And yesterday I learned that a few of my students they competed in a speech contest in the Future Business Leaders of America. And Jason took first place. Go Jason. And Yuyen took third place. Yay, go Yuyen.
So cool.
So I'm really excited.
It's so cool to see results like that. And I would just encourage our listeners, if you want to know more, go to JackieBaileySpeaks.com. She just created a nonprofit to help support those kids that can't afford to attend classes like that. So it's pretty cool. And she's going to the Caribbean to teach some classes. Maybe highlight us. How's that going? Have they communicated with you that you're still going?
Yeah. They're waiting for me to buy my tickets. And I hear Wednesdays are the best day to buy plane tickets. They're the discounted or something. So,
we want to know more.
Buy them on Wednesday. But there's also a women's conference in March that is for women business owners in the islands. And so
Right.
I'm thinking maybe I should go to that in
You know,
March.
there's
to
one
this
coming up here in
conference.
Seattle too. Are you in tune to that one?
Really? I'm not, but I want to go to the islands, Todd.
I know that sunshine.
Well, just to meet some business women there, because I think those would be great connections to me.
Yeah.
So
Connect with Jackie, JackieBaileySpeaks.com. I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net, and you can go there. We have all the links to our guests and any links that we talk about today. I'm telling you right now, the Master Groovy one is coming. She's coming here in just a second, and you will want to connect with her some more because she's pretty cool. I really dig her.
she's already here.
She's there. I see her. She's smiling. I just want to remind you that if you are at lifemasteryradio.net, there's a link there to Todd's book. Da, 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 da.
Yay!
6 Keys. Look, Pam, I did it. I did it.
Woohoo! That's
I
great.
know, it's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
It's pretty cool. There's a link there. You can go and get it at Amazon. And the only thing I ask is you'll read it. I know you'll love it, but just leave me some feedback because that's really important. Okay, are you ready for the show? I think our guest has been patient with us enough.
With all of our housekeeping.
All our housekeeping stuff. Our guest today is Pam Grout, the infamous Master Groovy one, Pam Grout. And Pam is an explorer on the frontiers of magic and enchantment. She has served as an extra in a zombie movie, composed a country and western song, created a TV series, and communed with the Maasai warriors, Turkish sultans, and the international Ecuadorian sun god. If that all makes sense, then you're in the group. She writes books and articles for such places as CNN Travel, Men's Journal, The Huffington Post, and People Magazine. She is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of such books as Think, Thank, that's Thank, not Think, Thank and Grow Rich, E Squared and E Cubed, and her latest release, really cool book, and I'm just enthralled with it, enthralled, whatever where that word is. The name of the book is The Course in Miracles Experiment, a starter kit for rewiring your mind and therefore the world. Hey, Pam, how are you doing?
I am great. So good to be back with you.
Da, 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 da.
Yay.
You know, I always dig having you on the show. And, you know, the one question I have to ask you, Pam, is do you ever get tired of writing?
You know, I love writing, so I never get tired of it. There are days when I don't feel like it's flowing very freely, and I like, oh, there's a bunch of baloney. So there are those days, but overall, I love it. I mean, it's what I feel like I was born to do, So for me, it's fun.
So
Do you write longhand or do you actually type on the computer?
No.
Okay.
You know what I do? I write in my journal in longhand every morning. I do. Do you remember Julia Cameron's morning pages? I do something sort of like that. I do write longhand in my journal, but I go back. I mean, I get so many great insights in that journal, and I go back, after I finish one journal, I look at it, I'm like, what did I say here? I literally can't even read my own writing. It takes me a while to decipher it. So most of what I do, all my writing that's published is always on the computer, but it's just more for me. And I do get great ideas, but you know what I find really interesting? When I'm writing in my journal, I'm just, dashing away, in longhand. When something really profound comes to me, for some reason, I stop and I print. It's almost like that's a signal from the universe saying, okay, you better pay attention. I mean, sometimes I can read my scribbles, but I can always read when I stop and print. And it's just amazing to me when that happens. And I didn't even realize it until later. It's like, wow, there are certain moments when I stop and I print, and I do feel like I'm doing that because that's something I need to really remember, because I do get lots of cool things in my journal. I get lots of great ideas. I go back. It's like, oh, I need to write a blog post about that. Sometimes I need to write a book about that. I need to write a travel article about that. It can be any number of things. And the thing that's so cool about it is if I didn't go back and look at it, or if I hadn't written it down, I would never remember it. I mean, it literally is the connection that I have to that, because, so many ideas are going through all the time. And so this is something that just, brings them back and makes, oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to write about that. Oh yeah, I love that quote that I wrote down here. So always, it's a good way to keep it there.
So during the day, let's just take a look at a life in the time in the day of with Pam Grout. So during your day, are you mentally locking in? Oh, well, that's something cool to write about, or is it when you just wake up, things just flow into your journal, and then you take it to the computer? How does this all meld together to create such amazing
that's
stuff?
such a funny question because I have no routine whatsoever.
Cool.
But certain periods of my life, I will have a certain routine. Like when I'm writing a book, and I have a deadline and there's a reason. I mean, then I am up and writing. Usually the journal writing does happen first thing in the morning. That's kind of a good time to do it. So that's a little bit consistent. So I could say, that's what I do. Even when I'm traveling, I have my little journal there with me. And sometimes I just write, my schedule. Okay, today I'm going to talk to Todd and to Jackie. It might be just something like that. Another time, or pay this bill or whatever it might happen to be. So I always have a little list of what I'm going to do. But then I just start writing those things coming from my heart, ideas. I love ideas. To me, ideas are what make up the world. Ideas are what's really important. And I love what you were saying, Jackie, about teaching kids to realize that those things that are coming from not the internet, but from this bigger source, this I mean, it's kind of the big mystery, really. But,
Right.
like you mentioned, the dude, the mothership, all that stuff, there is this other message, and that's available to us. So when we're sitting there on the internet, I mean, yeah, there's so much information there. I mean, so much we can never even read it all. But there's also this higher message that's available to us that we do have to stop and get away from all that to listen to. And that, to me, is a little bit of what happens when I'm writing in my journal. And then from the journal and those ideas, then I will develop them, and I might, research something or interview somebody or whatever. But that is where it all starts, is, coming from that higher source. And not even the higher, higher is higher, it's here, it's everywhere. It's not like it's really, but we've always had the tendency to think of the higher as up here. So,
Right.
it looks like my sleeves don't match
Makes
there.
sense.
But anyway, yeah.
Oh, sometimes though, Pam, I'll be surfing around and I'm guided. I truly am guided to something that I'm thinking about or something. And then I really have to stop and consciously think about it and say, oh, wait a sec. This is a message that I'm supposed to read. And this is something that I may be able to apply later on today.
That's such a beauty of it, is this source, that's wanting to use us to present its message, is always trying to get through to us. So it is true. You can get it from the internet as well. You can get it, but it's kind of like you have to also be connected to realize that you want to take it further or explore it further. So there's almost like this dual connection going on. But I totally agree. You can be, in fact, being outside is a great way to get those messages. But any time these messages are coming to us, messages sound so formal, but these ideas, they're always out there in any form, and the internet's a one way to get them as well. So I totally hear what you're saying, Todd, and I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I sometimes too, I think, gosh, what would Da Vinci or Einstein have done if they would have had
They might have gotten so wrapped up on checking their updates on Facebook that they wouldn't have ever invented those things,
That's
so I'm kind of glad we didn't have Facebook back in their days. But who knows? Maybe they'd have done 3,000 times more. I don't know. We don't know.
Totally.
Now, Pam, have you always known what you know now, or was it
always,
that
no.
when you originally read A Course in Miracles, is that when you got more insight or enlightenment about the divine?
I would say that I've always been interested in insights and enlightenment. I mean, always. So Course in Miracles was just the thing that really captured my attention to do for longer, because I'm one of those dabblers. I've done a lot of different spiritual searching, and I've always been very much interested in it, always, from the time I was a young kid. I can remember as a young kid even being aware of kind of leaving my body, and then, do I want to go back? Almost like, my consciousness is out traveling around, and do I want to come back into this body? So I've kind of always been aware of that from the get-go, which probably always made me interested in it. But how I was taught is how a lot of us are taught, such a restricted viewpoint of God or this bigger thing, that it eventually lost its appeal, that particular really strict belief of the way this God was. So that's why I almost had to let go of all those beliefs of the way it was, to kind of be open to all the other possibilities that are out there, as how this mystery, this life force, this divine buzz comes to us.
So did A Course in Miracles clarify that for you then? Is that
I wouldn't say it felt like my path. I'll say that. You know, when I started following in earnest, it really did feel like my path. But I still read a lot of other stuff too. I still love, you know, Byron Katie's The Work. I haven't done tapping for a while, but I like tapping. So I'm really interested in all kinds of things. But the course is the one spiritual practice that I just kept doing year after year after year after year for so long, you know, until it eventually started to stick. I mean, I'm still learning. I mean, there's still so much. It's not like, oh, now I know the course. That's not true at all. I mean, if anything, I feel like I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. And I will always be a student of A Course in Miracles. And I guess Course in Miracles says we're all students and we're also all teachers. I mean, we're all teaching all the time. We may not be teaching a very powerful message. We may not be teaching something that's useful, but we're all teaching, you know, constantly. We're teaching and learning at all times. But so I guess what the Course in Miracles would suggest is teaching what we're talking earlier about, the message of love, and teaching the message of a bigger truth, and about getting rid of all the blocks that would prevent that love and that peace and that the truth of who we really are from coming through. Because what happens, we get so busy with all these thoughts and crazy ideas that we're not aware of this presence that's right here, that's available for us at all times. And it's just such an exciting thing to realize that when we finally let go of all the stuff we've been believing, all the mental blocks and structures and things that we've set up, believe that that's how the world is.
Yeah.
You know, Pam, I'm just fascinated that you came up with this idea, because I always, you know, I read 365 Days with Emmett Fox, and another one of my heroes wrote a 365-day book, Alan Cohen, and I always thought that would be a cool thing, and I always thought, oh man, I even talked to Alan Cohen one day about it. I thought, you know, I'm really got this 365-day book thing cruising around. I mean, me and he said, we'll just start writing every day, and after 365 days, you'll have something.
You'll have a book.
It's a little bit more. So I guess my question is when did this idea hit you to do a book like this and to take A Course in Miracles? Did this pop in all of a sudden, or were you thinking about this for a while?
Oh, you know, it had to be laid out to me in a very clear way for me to do it, because what happened is 2018 January 1st, like I do every year, I started blogging about Course in Miracles. I don't blog about the Course in Miracles every year. I do the Course in Miracles every year. But
Right.
in 2018, I thought, you know, I'm just going to blog about it. I had this big audience on my blog, you know, from my other books that people like. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to talk about doing the Course in Miracles. So I did lesson 1, you know, kind of what it meant to me. Then I did lesson 2. And it didn't take long before, I mean, people were sending me emails. They were posting on the site. You need to turn this into a book. I literally had to hear it a bunch of times before I thought, guidance. I mean, it wasn't like it came to me. It's like I really did hear it again and again and again. I felt like I really was summoned, like this was my task to make it. You know, because there's a lot of people that love the Course. They're already doing the Course. There's a lot of people that hate the Course. They have the Course. They think, yeah, this is going to be my path to freedom. But then they start reading and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so boring. It's so dense. I don't understand it. So my task, or what I feel like my assignment was, is just to make it a little bit more fun. Because, you know, all we really want is to make contact with this bigger thing. Like, that's what we really want. Once we get that, we don't need any books. We don't need, you know, but here's one way that might make it a little bit easier to get in touch with that divine intelligence, that the radiant X, whatever you want to call it.
The dude.
Here's a way
We
to make it
we
easier.
want to connect with the dude.
The dude who doesn't
The
want to connect with
mothership.
the
I
dude.
like that one too.
Yeah, the mothership. Right.
Well, I never read A Course in Miracles. And yet I started.
Wait a sec, Jack. Wait, we got to back up just for a minute.
Okay.
What did you think when you heard about it? You obviously had heard about it over time, but never been exposed to it.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had several guests on our show that have mentioned the Course. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm not sure what that is. I don't know what it contains. One of these days, maybe I'll figure it out. And then when, you know, Pam was going to be our guest, and Todd, thank you so much for sending me the book. I started reading it, and it's so cool. I mean, having no way to compare it to the original book, this really just gets down to the hard tax of things. I mean, I love the way that you explain things. You're real, you're authentic, you're you all the way through this. Your language is just clear, and yet it's fun and entertaining. And with each lesson, it's a short synopsis that anybody could do. There's a little exercise you can take. And then what makes it even easier for people who are brain damaged like me is that you give a review after each 50 chapters or so. And that really seals the deal for me, because you have some really fun facts and stories. All the stories that you share in those reviews are so amazing, and about people that I'm familiar with but didn't know that part of them. So I found so much value in this. I started reading it yesterday, and I read 2 or 3 hours of it, and then I woke up at 2:30 this morning, couldn't sleep, picked it up again, and read it till I got up at 5, a little bit after 5. So I'm just thrilled. I think I'm around 100 and something, chapter 104 or something like that. And it's delightful. It's absolutely delightful. And that's coming from someone who's never read the original book. But I don't know if I need to. I don't know if I need to now go get that book and then read the first chapter there and then read your first chapter and kind of work them together. Do you think that's necessary?
You know, I think I would ask for people to be guided. Some people may be guided to do that. I think a lot of people that pick up this book probably already have the Course in Miracles, so they'd have it. But I think some people will be guided to just, they didn't resonate with the Course the first time, they may not again. So some people may be guided not to do it. Others may be guided to throw mine in the trash and just do the Course in Miracles. So I think it depends on, because we all learn differently. And that's why I think, this information, like all roads lead to Rome, right? But we all take different paths to Rome, so to speak. So I feel like, you'll be guided. If you hadn't been guided to read the Course before, maybe it's not, the thing you need to do, and you might just be able to do this one. So I really can't say. I can't recommend it one way or another. I think for some, this is enough. For others, they need the other. It just kind of depends. But again, I think people will be guided to do.
But I think what you do is you just simplify it, though, right? Am I
right? And make it easy to understand. Like, for example, the concept of forgiveness. That's the thing that people always think, oh, forgiveness. I've got to, let that mean old, dirty, nasty person off the hook. I mean, that's what we all think forgiveness is. But really it just means letting go, and meaning that no one has the power to hurt me. It makes, if you really know who you are, that's what the Course in Miracles says so clear. If we really knew who we were, we would never be afraid. We would never feel offended. I mean, that would be impossible. So once we know who we really are, none of that even matters. So forgiveness really means getting in touch with who we really are, and realizing that no one out there are no bad guys. There is nothing that can hurt us in any way. And that's such a radical concept. I mean, that's what I say in the book. The Course in Miracles is so radical. I think that's another reason a lot of people let go, because it's so radical. Like, how can that be? It talks about unceasing joy, all this kind of stuff. How can that possibly be true? Well, we have these old paradigms running in our head, things we've been taught from our culture, things we've been taught from our parents. So it is radical, but it is possible. And it's really about chipping away all the stuff that isn't true. And once we get down to the real root of it, we are all love. We are all peace. That is the truth. And we are all connected in one. And so anything we do to anybody else, I mean, anytime we don't forgive someone else, we're really just hurting ourselves. And we've all heard that before, but it's the honest truth. It's like negating who we really are. So, we don't want to do that. We want to be who we really are, which is God's son, God's daughter, the God himself, the dude himself. I mean, that's who we are. We're pieces, and we all have assignments and things that we're meant to do. And once we make contact with that voice, I don't know if you've gotten the part where I sort of talk it like Arthur and Hobson, his butler, Arthur in that movie, Arthur, the millionaire guy who had that butler, Hobson. All you had to do was ring a bell, and Hobson would show up with whatever he needed. And that's the kind of guidance. That's what you want to connect with, is find your Hobson, find your Holy Spirit, find, that voice, that divine intelligence that's available to all of us. And once you have that, all answers will come to you. All forgiveness will come to you. Everything, your path will open up. It's just all so simple. So that's the whole purpose of the book, is to get people in touch with that. Whether they use the Course in Miracles, whether they use, my, rather cheeky version of it, no matter what they use, get in touch with that, and then it's all good.
Well, and in one of your recent blog posts, you gave me now a face of forgiveness. You talked about Brad Pitt. So now that makes forgiveness so much more enjoyable. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just means moving from where you were before, which is what I said about Brad Pitt. If he had stayed with that job that he had, what was it? Some job he was selling chicken, or he was dressed in a chicken suit.
That's what it was. So he could have stayed with that costume, and he'd still be, maybe hanging around Hollywood in a chicken costume. But he let go of that and look what he became. So we have to let go of the chicken costume, so to speak, to move on to what we really can be, to be who we are. And that's what forgiveness is about.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
So it would be easy to say you took all of the teachings, put it in 365-day book, but isn't it, Pam? And what I get from it, it's just an awareness. So we're asked to read a thought, put into practice for just that day, and that begins to plant. It's a basic way of teaching and a way of bringing awareness to, you know, that coffee pot doesn't really matter. That $100 dress really isn't. It isn't me. It doesn't really matter. Maybe highlight that for us just a little bit on how that works.
Yeah, one of the things I said in East Square, and this is really true, it's all about retraining our brain. And in some ways, it's retraining our mind. It's kind of like housebreaking a puppy. Literally, you keep showing it a different way. And that's why the 365 lessons, you might get it on day 2 and then not need the other 363 lessons. But a lot of us tend to be a little slower. Just like it took me how many emails from people saying you should turn it into a book. But so it's kind of like the repetition. And so it's like the ego can keep bouncing back up. It keeps coming back keeps popping back up like a toaster. But we keep showing it this other way, this bigger, higher way. And so a lot of it's just a repetition. That's why it's the 365 lessons. And really, I took the same 365 lessons that are in the workbook of the Course in Miracles, and I just kind of rewrote them. But so, some people won't need 365 lessons. Some people will need to do it year after year after year, like me. I do it over and over again because I need to be reminded of this. The ego can be a pretty wily foe. So I like to, stay on top of it. And that's the way that, you can keep, realizing your true self by staying on top of that ego, or staying one step ahead of that ego. And that's why you do the workshop or do the workbook lessons.
So do you get, obviously, I guess this is kind of a redundant question, but do you get something different every time you work the course?
Oh, I do. I go, that wasn't in there before. Or I'll see something a different way. I might look at love in a whole different way than I might have before. So yes, I think there's always new ways to see things. For one thing, there's so many pages in there. And you know how, like they say that in this moment, most people are like 50% there. They're thinking about, I don't know, yesterday, they're thinking about tomorrow. So when you're really there, you're going to see more in that course. But so I think you're going to miss stuff because, again, we're a lot of different places. I heard this really cool interview the other day with a guy that is a brain scientist, but he's also a kind of an amateur magician. He said when he was a kid, he stumbled into this magic shop. And this woman that was working there said, you know why magic works, right? And he said, no, it works because people, 80% of their time are either worrying about something from yesterday or thinking about something tomorrow. So there's plenty of opportunities to fool them, to be doing all this stuff. If people were truly 100% there and, the human brain isn't, then you couldn't probably do magic because, they would see it, they'd be onto it. But everybody's off in their own little world. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So to be fully there. So I guess that explains why I see new stuff every time, because I might have been half asleep or something. I didn't hear it the first time.
I heard a pretty cool twist on that same concept, and that is, so we stand looking at the past with our left eye to the right, or no, our right eye to the left. I'm trying to do it in the mirror image that I'm looking at. But you get the concepts from our left eye to the right, and from our right eye to the left, we look at the past. So we're looking at the past and the future. And so we end up being right here, right now, looking cross-eyed.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And that really anchored it for me.
Right.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So Pam, what are you working on today? What does the course have you do today?
My Course in Miracles lesson. Well, remember I told you I was still in my pajamas? I haven't done my Course in Miracles lesson yet today. So in some ways, it's just about focusing on love every single day. And in fact, they say when you can, you don't need to do it again, but I still do it every day. But I have not done my lesson yet today, I have to admit. So anyway. I can look it up. I've got my book right here. Here, I'll look
it is. Okay.
Yeah, there it
okay,
is.
so today is February, 3rd?
Yeah,
something like that?
4th. So I think you're on like lesson 35, I think.
Okay, I will read lesson 35.
Here we go. That's cool.
Oh, I like this one. The Bull in the China Shop. Okay, I always start each one with a quote. And so here's the quote. What is out there depends on what you choose to look for. And that's Fred Alan Wolf, who's a physicist. But here,
Yeah.
one of the most infuriating dilemmas in science is that the moment researchers attempt to measure atomic and subatomic systems, they literally morph into something else.
Right.
Like shapeshifters, they mutate once a human being gets involved. It's almost like they read our minds and out of courtesy, politely turn into whatever configuration we're expecting. You want a wave? Here, have a wave. You prefer particles? Voila, particles. It's my consciousness, my expectations that forms what's there for me to see. And once that form solidifies, other possibilities vanish. They're rendered non-existent. In other words, it's literally impossible to see the true nature of reality. Lesson 35 describes it like this. I surround myself with the environment I want. These objects, these people, these circumstances seem to be out there. They seem to exist completely independent of me and what I think, but they're not. I am literally part and parcel of all I perceive. Nothing exists independently of my observations. Everything I see, all alleged separate objects, are linked to my mind in surprising and mysterious ways. Today, and this is straight from the course, in 3 5-minute practice periods, I stop to look at how I'm perceiving the world. And I concede that I'm the one setting everything into motion. So basically what's that saying is for 3 times a day for 5 minutes, I'm going to stop and kind of look at my thoughts and realize that what I'm seeing out there is literally created by my thoughts. And that's it's a standard quantum physics principle, the observer effect. Once we look at something, that's what this lesson says, it coalesces into a reality and we can't perceive anything else. So what we're doing in the course is opening up to see other things.
And all of the daily practices pretty much end that same way, right? So it's an awareness, Pam. Okay, I'm going to be consciously aware to stop 3 times today and put into practice this thought or idea or this recognition or this insight.
Right. It's not always 3 times a day. It's various amounts, but it'll tell you in there like a minute. Think just for a minute today. Think about this. Do one 15-minute thing. And that's just a way of when you're still practicing. Once you get really into the Course in Miracles, you just set up your intention to have a great day, like you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. I always say that something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. But, really setting up that intention. And what it says that if you don't get in the way, that's exactly the kind of day you're going to have. If for some reason things start going astray, then you stop and you ask Hobson, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, say, look, I don't like the way I'm perceiving this. Help me see this differently. I mean, that's like the phrase I use over and over again. Help me see this differently. Because whatever I'm seeing is coming from me. I'm connected to everything I'm seeing. So if I start seeing things, oh, this is a real drag, it's horrible, nothing's going to work out, that's coming from me. So I have to ask for help from this divine intelligence. Help me see this differently, because once I see it differently, everything will change. That's why the title of the book, it's rewire your mind, and therefore your entire world gets rewired. It's, change your mind, change your life. I mean, it's that true to what ends up happening. So anyway, yeah.
So the reason to get the book then is to do these daily exercises so that you can establish this better communication with.
Right, that would be the ultimate goal, is to realize who you really are and to, take advantage of this wonderful resource that we all have available to us. I think, again, because of some of that baggage around God, we're not using this resource. We run away as far as we can from any notion of something outside ourselves. We're fierce independence. We're going to do it all ourselves. But really, it's the way of just asking for help and trusting that this help is there. Silver bell, ring that bell, and there's your help. It's always there. And it all starts with you seeing it differently.
Yeah. I want to remind our listeners, if you've just tuned in, our guest today is the Master Groovy One, Pam Grout. Cue Pam to hold your new book up.
Oh.
And that's the book that we're talking about, her latest one, and it's called The Course in Miracles Experiment, a starter kit for rewiring your mind and therefore the world. And I always like to surf around and see what other people think. I think, Pam, when did this book come out? It was just last week, right? The 28th?
Yes, let's see, it's been out for 6 days so far.
Wow.
6 days so far.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
People are reading it and loving it, and this is what I found somebody wrote about. Like many others, I have tried to get through the original Course in Miracles and couldn't finish. Sounded way too much like those catechism classes. I like Pam's style from her other books, and I think she's done a great job deciphering this overly complicated information in the original book. I'm halfway through and will go back and read every day as it was intended. Great job, Pam. So, Pam, when you hear things like that, that makes it all worth it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I mean, what I really love, because I get these emails from people all the time about how much my work changed their life, and that means so much to me.
You have a huge fan base. I mean, and well, here's the cool thing about Pam Grout is she reads them. And she responds to them, or she'll write about it in her blog post. And you're always get that feeling that Pam's talking to me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm glad people do feel that way, because I do feel, like there's a little tribe going on. I always talk about possibility posses, and I've got actual possibility posses in my hometown that I meet with regularly. But I also feel like my readers, the people that read my blogs, kind of a possibility posse as well. And I like, knowing they've got my back, and and I like responding to them too. So yeah, that's really nice.
Keep that.
Where is your hometown, Pam?
I live in Lawrence, Kansas. So it's close to Kansas
Yeah,
City.
go Chiefs, huh?
Exactly. Okay, I want to tell you the really cool thing about the Chiefs. Andy Reid, who was the coach of the Chiefs, it was his 222nd win, and he won it on 2/2/20. So my daughter and I had a thing about 222. I've started a foundation in honor of the 222 Foundation. And now I hear from readers all the time that they're seeing the 222 everywhere as well. So that's been a really cool thing. So anyway, I wanted the Chiefs to win even more than just I wanted the Chiefs to win, because I wanted him to get his 222nd win. And I feel like that's a real synchronicity, and a sign from the universe.
I think there's a blog post coming out about that sometime.
Oh, there could be. Are you going to write it for me,
No, it's from you. Because I know I get a blog post just about every week in my mailbox. That's not a newsletter. That's just a blog post, right?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I do it all the time. Sometimes I don't do it for a couple months. It kind of depends. It's not regular in any way. Nothing you can count on.
From Pam lately. Where's that blog post? And then boom, there one shows up. And
yeah.
So what's the 222 Foundation?
I started in honor of my daughter. We had a thing about 222. She passed a year ago, 15 months ago. She had an aneurysm just unexpectedly, and it was just the biggest shock of my life. And I'll tell you, the reason we had 222, when she was in junior high, she started calling everything 222. Like, you'd ask her, what time is it? Even if it was 5:45, she'd say 222. Or you'd ask her how much something costs. These were her friends, And if it was $10, she'd say 222. So it became a thing, and all of her friends started calling her at 222. And she started this Facebook group called The Amazing Awesomeness of 222. I mean, it's just a silly little junior high thing. But then it became a thing for us. She and I would text each other pictures of 222. And then right after she did that, we went on 2 trips that summer. We went to Alaska. Our hotel room number was 222. Wow. We went to London. Our hotel number was 222.
You little manifester, you.
What's that? Also, all these 222 things happen. In fact, one of the cool things, the first recipient of the 222 Foundation that I started, and I give every year on 222. This will be the second year for it. I had 100 applicants this year, and I've narrowed it down to 15. And in a couple of weeks, I will be awarding the second 222 award. But the first 222 award was given to a group of women who had acid thrown on them over in Agra, India. I was at the Taj Mahal, and here's what's really cool. I'd been scheduled before Taz passed. I was scheduled already to go over there to work with this group called Tribes for Good. And once Taz died, I'm like, how can I possibly go over to India? I mean, it just seemed like way too much. Luckily, my friend from college did go with me. She agreed at the last minute to go with me. But we get to the Taj Mahal, and we'd done the Prize for Good, and then we decided to go be tourists. We got to the Taj Mahal, and we're thinking, oh, Taj Mahal, a cheesy tourist attraction. It was so spiritual, but here's the cool thing about it. The person being honored in the Taj Mahal, her name was Mumtaz. Her name was Taz. It took 20,000 workers, 22 years to build the Taj Mahal. So
Wow.
it was like this tribute to 222. It's a monument to love. And so, of course, I left some of her ashes there. Our guide there spoke Spanish as well as Hindi and English, which is kind of interesting because Taz was a Spanish major, a Spanish and anthropology major. And then we left, so I was like, oh my gosh, this is Taz, a monument to Mumtaz. And so I left some of her ashes there. And then also, then we left and we go to this Shiro's Hangout, which is this place where these, victims of acid attacks open a little cafe. They serve tea, they serve coffee, all free. They just do it out of the goodness of their heart because the 222 Foundation is all about changing consciousness. Because if we keep fighting what's going wrong, we're just going to keep perpetuating it. We literally have to build a different reality to make the old reality obsolete. And so that's what these women are doing. Here they have melted off skin. They were brutally attacked by this acid, but yet they're still out there giving love, giving food. And of course, people just fall in love with them. It's called Shiro's Hangout. And at the time I was there, they were getting ready to move to a new location. So the first grant, we give a grant every year in 222, went to them to help move to their new location. And I felt like Taz led me there. And as I get ready, I've narrowed it down to 15 candidates for this year's award. I am trusting that she will guide me to who will be the one of the 15 that I've narrowed it down to at this point.
Wow, how cool.
So yeah, so that's the 222 Foundation. And it has some really lofty goals as far as really truly changing the consciousness of the planet. And there's a lot of people that are out there doing that. And, we want to reward people that are doing that and to realize that we are much more than money, and money is not the important thing. It's, the love that we share with each other. And that anytime we are focused on, just the money and all that kind of stuff, we're going to be going astray. So this is like people that are really doing what they do because out of their heart and goodness heart. So it has some, you can look up the 222 Foundation. In fact, you might put a link to that there for people who want to look at it. And basically it's a way just to, to give away my money. I don't have her to leave it to anymore. So anyway, it's just kind of a nice thing.
Now she liked hedgehogs as well, right?
Pam,
yeah, every year, every month. Oh, this is a cool thing too. Every month, the first day of the month, we would always say hedgehog. Whoever said it first was going to have good luck. And so ever since she's passed, I get a hedgehog sent to me on the first of the month somehow. Like the first time it happened is this guy named Pete Doherty. He's in this band in England. It's some little punk rock band, but it made all the news because he got stuck, went to the hospital. He was out walking his dogs. His hedgehog and so he went to the hospital. So a hedgehog got Pete Doherty going to the hospital. The next month, I go in and a friend of mine, her grandbaby was having her first birthday. So I walk in, I said, hey, what's the hottest new toy for 1-year-olds? And so the storekeeper leaves me these stacking hedgehog toys. Somebody sent me some napkins. On the first of the year, the new movie Sonic Hedgehog's coming out. So every single month I get some kind of sign of hedgehog. So I feel like I'm communicating with her from the other side, and that's super important to me.
That's cool.
Course, Pam, the last two stories that you just shared with us just proved to me.
Oh yay.
And you can confirm it, but you live a groovy life, and you live a groovy life because you're connected. You write these cool things about being connected, but this is the magic. Is it not correct? This is the magic when you start to put things, it's not that you're an expert, it's not, but you just practice things and wizardly type things happen in your life.
Right. And the thing that's so cool about it, it's very natural and it happens all the time, but most people are too smart or too scientific or whatever to really notice. But these signs are happening all the time. Once you open up to the wonder and the magic, they're just everywhere. You find they're everywhere. And so people might think, I always like to say what Anita Morjani told me one time. When people tell me I'm crazy to believe in this, I almost fell off my unicorn. It's like it is much more fun to live in this world of mystery and connection and delight and wonder than it is to live in the other world of, everything's wrong. Again, I call it possibility state versus problem state. Most people live in problem state, but it's a lot more fun and delightful to live in possibility state.
Oh my gosh. And it's, some of the things, it's just way beyond, it's a synchronicity, and it's way beyond just a random happening, right? too far out to be just random. I'm trying to find that word that I'm looking for, but
Right.
it is a true synchronicity.
Right. Well, one of my favorite stories, and I share this one in the book, but it's something that happened to Michael Shermer. And he, of course, a very famous public atheist. He started Skeptic Magazine. He's in Scientific American Exploration. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff. It's a bunch of hooey.
Hooey.
He actually debated Deepak Chopra on public television. You know,
Wow.
Deepak, of course, said, hey, there's God. And he said, no, there's not. There's not this special force, whatever. So he got married a few years ago, and I love the story so much. So he got married to a woman from Germany. Most of her family had died, and her male role model had been her grandfather. And before they got married, a box of his things had been sent over from Germany, you know, crates of all of her grandfather's things. And in one of the crates was this old radio. And Michael Shermer thought, you know, it'd be really nice to fix this radio for my beloved, you know, this woman I'm getting ready to marry. So he spends all this time trying to fix this radio. He said he even he changed all the tubes and all the wires. He couldn't get it to work. Said he even practiced percussive maintenance, meaning he, you know, slammed on the table, couldn't get it to work. On the day of their wedding, she says to him, do you hear that? What's that noise? So coming from their bedroom, they got married at their seaside home. Coming from their bedroom was this beautiful music. It was this music that her grandfather liked, and they're like looking everywhere. Does somebody leave an iPhone on, or do the neighbors have something on? They go to the drawer where he had put this radio, and this radio that he had worked hard to was playing her grandfather's favorite music. Played it all day long. The next day they got up, that radio never worked again. And Michael Shermer, an avowed atheist, admitted the story. And he said if anybody would have told him this story, he'd have never, ever believed it, but it happened to him. And he hasn't given up his atheist status, but he did admit that there are mysteries afoot that are bigger than our understanding. So I thought, well, that's good enough. You know, he was willing to admit that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's another Carl Sagan, who was a huge person in our
Right.
understanding, was the same way. And then one day he just all of a sudden like, there's something there.
Right. Well, I think all the geniuses usually acknowledge that, like Einstein said, hey, that's the only thing that really matters. He said, I don't call it God, but it's the only thing that really matters. And it's really the truth.
It's the only thing that makes sense. How else could there has to be some organizing intelligence that put all this together. Otherwise, how would this all come together?
Mm-hmm.
Him and Niels Bohr came up with that conclusion. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Pam, do you still travel? Do you still write? You have a travel blog? Do you still travel and write?
I still have my travel blog. I call it George Clooney Slept Here. It's a takeoff on George Washington Slept Here.
Wait a sec. Is it slept there or slept here?
It's slept here. Did you know there's that old famous saying, George Washington slept here? Yeah. So George Clooney slept here, and it's kind of luxury travel. That's that blog post. In fact, it's so funny. I was just in Massachusetts, literally just got back a couple of days ago. I was speaking out there, and we went to a bunch of places where George Washington did, maybe not sleep here, but eat here. We went to this place called the Warren Tavern, and George Washington had been there. So it's kind of fun, you know, it's like, oh yeah. But yeah, back east, they do say that a lot, like, oh, stay at our inn because George Washington slept here. So that's why I started that. Yeah, in addition to my travel blog, I've written travel for, I've done 3 books for National Geographic, 3 travel books for National Geo. I've written for CNN Travel, Men's Journal, and a lot of different publications. Since the death of my daughter, I haven't been actively doing travel writing, but I'm just now, you know, getting ready to get back into travel writing. I've done a few pieces. I did a piece about this Shiro's Hangout for Frommers last year, you know, this wonderful place that we gave the grant to. It's a good travel story anyway, because, you know, travelers want to go there and meet these women. So it's a good story. In fact, a friend of mine happened to be in Agra today, and she texted me, goes, Pam, where was that place that you were writing about? So I sent her my little story from her. So she may be there right now as we speak. Who knows?
Nice. So where's the best place you've ever been?
People ask that a lot when you're a travel writer.
Yeah.
And I always give one of 2 answers. One is that it's like you don't want pizza every meal. You know, it depends on what you're in the mood for as far as a travel trip.
Yeah.
But I often say the last place I just was, because I fall in love with every place I go. So I guess I'll say Boston now because I was just in Boston.
Yeah.
I love a lot of places. I'm a big fan. Well, I loved India when I was there. I love New Zealand. I love a lot of places. Yeah.
That's
And one
amazing
thing
that you've
that's
had those
happened
experiences.
too, not only, do I travel writing, but I've been asked to speak at a lot of places. I've spoken about this work in the Philippines and Japan and Finland, Peru, kind of all over the world. So this message of synchronicity and love, and we're all connected, and the universe does want to give us signs. This doesn't just connect to people, in the Western world. People all over the world are resonating with this stuff.
that's the
I mean,
cool
this
part.
book, E Squared, was translated to 40 different languages, and so many people are loving, this message about there is something bigger, and, it wants to bless us. So that's a pretty cool.
Isn't it
cool
true?
way to live
Isn't
your
it
life.
true, Pam, that E Squared was written under another name and sat untouched for years and years and years, and then you woke it up again, renamed it, and it just exploded?
Well, that's true. It was originally called God Doesn't Have Bad Hair Days. And that title, I guess, just didn't resonate, but it did get published as that. But it went out of print right away. The 6 people that read it loved it, but, it didn't really do anything. And then in fact, I use this as an example in my book, Think and Grow Rich, how important it is to stay happy and stay open to possibility. Because, okay, that book, I loved that book, but it didn't do anything. So it's okay. Rather than moan about it, I went off and wrote the 3 books for National Geographic, and I just got happier and happier. I started my AA 2.0 program. And then literally thought of that book one day. Again, I'm sure I was divinely guided, and I sent it off to Hay House, changed the title. And then it basically is the same book. And it, like you said, it just exploded into 40 different languages, and it became a huge, huge hit all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness, Master Groovy One. We just have about 3 minutes left. This hour
Oh, no.
just flew by. I hope you're open to coming back, because I always have fun with you. And it's a great discussion. When are you coming back to Seattle?
The East West Bookshop, I've been there 3 times to give workshops. And they wanted me to come last year, but I kind of decided not to come last year. But
It was a funky year.
I'm not sure. It's nothing on the agenda at this point, but
Okay.
Who knows? I have to come back.
You just keep Todd posted, because I definitely want to talk to you.
Okay. Well, I always love being on your show. Anybody that calls me the Groovy One, how cool is that?
Master Groovy One. The
Master Groovy One. That's pretty cool. It's so not true, but hey, it's nice.
No. It's so true.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, at least from my heart to your heart, Master Groovy One, forever.
Okay. We're co-Master Groovy Ones
Thank
together,
you
right?
so much for coming on the show with your new book. I'm glad that we were able to make this all happen. This is really cool, and I think it's an awesome book. It is only $1.99 on Amazon Kindle if you have a Kindle. So you have another website, Pam, quickly. If I
Just
purchase...
PamGrout.com is my website with all my blog posts, and then the George Clooney Slept Here is my other website. Yeah.
There's also a special. You're giving away stuff about the ego. If you purchase the book, there's a couple of...
Oh, yeah. I wrote a couple, 2 little freebies for people that pre-ordered it. But anybody that wants to can get it. In fact, a lot of people that pre-ordered it, they never got it from Hay House. But it's just it's like 5 different strategies the ego used to keep us away from our divinity.
Well, I'll put the link up to that too. I think you just need to type in a receipt number, or maybe if
exactly, and they
maybe
can
if
get it.
you get a hold of Pam, you can get a hold of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my, did you have fun, Jackie?
Oh yeah, this was great. My good mood is attributed to Pam today.
Oh, well, thank you.
Feeling groovy, da, 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 da. Say hello to the lamppost. That's all we have time for today. I am so sorry. We'll have Pam back. Go to the website, check out my book, check out her book. Jackie has a book. We all have books. Let's just have, oh, look, she has her book. There's Jackie's book.
Oh, yeah, let's all hold up our books.
That's right.
1, 2, 3.
Good. Yay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And make
See
it
ya.
okay. It's all about you.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.